Welcome to a new edition of the Neon Jazz interview series with veteran jazz multi-instrumentalist, composer, and producer Kurt Rosenwinkel. We caught up with him in mid-June 2021 as the world starts to wake up about a brand new project that is a remixed, remastered, and re-released double vinyl edition of his groundbreaking album, Heartcore. It was originally released on Verve Records back in 2003. This album has gained cult status as a landmark album in modern music and lauded by listeners and musicians alike for its forward-thinking vision and conception and seamless integration of electronic elements with acoustic jazz interplay. We had a very good conversation with this modern jazz star about the state of the world moving forward, COVID, his life and music, and so much more. Dig it. Joe Domino with Neon Jazz Radio in Kansas City, Missouri.
Hey!
What's up, man?
Doing?
Hey, I'm good. How you doing?
I'm good.
Cool.
Just mixing a solo piano album.
Right on, man. I guess that's the name of the game here. I was calling you up about your reissue and to kind of talk a little bit about, you know, music lately and COVID, if you're up for it.
Yeah, sure.
Thanks, first and foremost, thanks for taking a minute out for Neon Jazz, man. I appreciate it.
My pleasure. Thank you.
You bet. So, on Heartcore Records, you have a remixed, remastered, re-released double vinyl edition of Heartcore. Yeah. Talk to me a little bit about how this feels, you know, especially with the context of no live music for so long. We've all been kind of reeling. Everybody's been recovering. How does it feel?
Yeah, you know, music, I think we've all gone to the things that we really need. I think this has been such an amazing time to really assess what's important to us and what we don't need and what we really do need. And I think that music, you know, is obviously something that we all really need and is so powerful and nourishing to our souls, and no more so than in this time, right? And that's been something that has been really interesting for me, like being home. Normally I'm running around the world, you know, traveling all the time and playing music for people live, and that's great, but the travel part of it is like takes up so much energy of what it takes to actually bring music to people. And so in the lockdown times, it was interesting because we're very fortunate that in these times we have the ability to really contact people directly through the internet and through streaming and everything. We're really lucky that, you know, we happen to be at this stage of technology when we're experiencing something like total isolation, because we can still keep in touch with everybody and still connect with people. And I found that through the internet and through live streaming and we did these master classes, which was really great way, a huge Zoom call with, you know, 50 people and do a whole master class and a whole production. And this way to kind of communicate with people was actually really cool and a nice way to use the energy rather than, you know, going to the airport and checking in and, you know, just busting your ass all the time to get to the gig, you know. So it was interesting. It's been interesting, and I was able to focus on a lot of projects that I wanted to do in the studio. I have a home studio. So this one project, this Heartcore reissue, was something that I've been thinking about for a long time, and my label was finally in the position to launch the project. And so what we did was we asked Verve, or Universal Music Group, if we could license the masters from the original album. I have all the original sessions from the multi-tracks that I did it in my house, because I made the album in my house on my computer way back, you know, in 2002. And so I've always felt like, you know, we did the best we could with what we had at the time, but I always felt like, oh my God, if I had another chance to remix and remaster that album, then it would then I could really sort of, realize what I was going for in the first place, And it came out good originally, but now it's like so much better, so much more sort of pleasing. And, there were some sonic issues that were going on in the original. It was mastered. It was heavily limited in the loudness wars. We wanted it to, exist in the pop realm and sit next to hip hop tracks and stuff like that. And so we just crushed it, and now we're all much wiser about that kind of thing these days. So it was wonderful to just kind of dig back into the mixes and remix it and remaster it and add some bonus tracks. And also, in the case of one song, which is called Love in the Modern World, originally I did it as a kind of a MIDI orchestra, and this time we retracked it with a real orchestra.
Right on.
So it's just been this amazing sort of rebirth of this album, and it's just been amazing. It's been incredible, and it's really cool to also integrate it with the crowdfunding thing. We launched this crowdfunding campaign, and that's been really cool, and we've got a lot of great feedback from people and a lot of great participation too. So it's just kind of this full spectrum kind of project, collaborating with our fans and our supporters, and also collaborating with Universal Music Group. And so this is very interesting and dynamic project for the label and for me as an artist, and also technically for me as a engineer, because I remixed it myself in my studio, and it's just been awesome. It's been really great project, and we've got the masters now. We've got the artwork finished. We're about to send it to manufacturing. Yeah, it's been super cool.
This has to be quite a self-actualized moment for you to be able to look back. I mean, 2002 is so long ago, and to see how well your career is arced, to see how well things have gotten to that point. Would you have ever imagined that this album would be such a seminal album for you, and one that you could, actually do what you wanted with it, and look at your career and see how much good that you've done?
I mean, yeah, I feel really blessed to be in the position I'm in now. It's, I'm kind of a renegade, I suppose. I have to do things, I'm trying to find my own path through life and trying to make the most of the opportunities that I can see. And that's led me to things that I would have never imagined that I would be doing, never imagined that I would have a record company. I never desired that or thought of that, or imagined that would be something I would do. But it kind of dawned on me that would be the best way to number one, service my music, but also have the opportunity to bring other artists up and be a producer and a label owner and kind of talent scout almost, to help the younger generation of artists. And that's been super satisfying, enriching to me, to help Pedro Martins, who's this amazing artist. I feel really important to help him produce an album with with no compromises, and really to the highest level of what his vision is, with my help and producing experience to add to that and everything. It's been amazing. I'm grateful to be able to be at the point in my career that I have these opportunities that I can help people and also help my own music with the way things are. But it's always a struggle.
Yeah,
it's always trying to close my eyes and feel life and feel my own destiny, feel what the next place to go is, and to just make moves based on on my intuition, and if you look at some of the things I've chosen to do, you might, and I know this because when I've gone through these changes and I've made a lot of really radical decisions, like quitting my teaching job, at the same time quitting my manager, which was my record label and my booking agent, and you know, sometimes you just have to sense where these arcs of life phrases, where they resolve, and sometimes they all resolve together at one point, and you wake up and you realize, I have to make these fundamental changes in order to accommodate life moving forward in the most natural way.
Talking about taking a minute to kind of breathe in life and see where you're at, COVID has given all of that to us, whether we want it or not. I mean, there's been downsides and upsides. It almost sounds as though you've had a moment that's been forced on you to pause that has brought this project to light, and it has probably given you creative realms to operate on, and maybe there's new music that's going to come out, new avenues that you probably wouldn't have expected if COVID didn't come around.
COVID has given us lots of time. That's for sure. I'm lucky that I was in a situation that I could take advantage of it, and like, oh well, great, I can do a lot of the things that I was wanting to do, but was just so busy that I wasn't able to get to anything. So it was like a forced pause, and that was, I think, what a lot of us needed. I mean, and I feel sorry for some of the people who were like, if you were in your career just on the cusp of breaking out, this might not have been as good of a time as it was for somebody like me who's just been running around for so long, that to have a break is good. And yeah, I found performing music is an incredible way to contact with the universe on a present tense aspect, where you're playing notes and you play them to the spirits, and you're playing live, and you play for the audience, you play for the energy in the room, you play as kind of a prayer to the spirits and to life itself. That's my feeling of playing live, and that's really important. But also, it's really important to me to record music and to have it so that something will remain when I'm gone, and I have these songs and these projects that I want to do. And so COVID has been a time where I've been able to get to a lot of these projects that I've wanted to do, and take care of my songs and record a lot of music. Yeah. It's also enabled me given me the time to have like a steady schedule, because literally in my entire life my time has been segmented. Since I was a kid, my parents were divorced and joint custody, and I've been living out of a suitcase literally since I was 6 years old, back and forth from house to house, and that wasn't bad. That was really good. I got to be really self-reliant, and me and my brothers were like a family unit, and my parents are great, and it was like going to two different kind of aspects of life, both houses, and I learned a lot from comparing the two, and I had a really good childhood. But the sense of having a schedule, I never really had. It was always fragmented, and it was always looking at time in terms of segments of 1 week or 2 weeks since I was a kid, literally. And then when I went to school, that was probably the most consistent time that I ever spent in one place at school. When I went up to Berkeley for 2 years, then I went down to New York and was just hitting and touring since then. So there was really just 2 years of my life since I can really remember that were kind of spent in one place in Boston for 2 years. Since then, it's just this fragmented time of going here and going there and touring and literally until now.
Yeah. Yeah.
So it's been really good to get like a kind of a schedule and kind of get into a groove, and it's been kind of nice like that.
Is there anything else, this time of all this time that we had during COVID was like a big mirror in front of us. Is there anything that you learned about yourself that you didn't realize before, like revelations you got?
I think I kind of realized that like all of a sudden I'm older than I realized.
I get that.
And I always knew I would feel this way too. It's like, first you're 20 and then you're 50. And then it's like, wait a minute. What happened? What happened in the middle? How did that happen? I've kind of been like, that's interesting. But it's nothing bad. I mean, I'm loving life and enjoying it. I'm about to get married, and so life is very, very beautiful and good. And I think I just kind of threw myself into work more. I feel like one thing I realized is how precious a day is, and how quickly they go by if you don't do something with your time, And so we're trying to wake up earlier, and we're trying to get up at like, my girlfriend gets up at 7. She'll try to get me up at like 9. And that's a big change from the way I was before.
Yeah,
that's good. Waking up earlier.
Yeah, I hear you. I totally dig it, man. With this long absence away from live music, what do you hope we all realize, you as a musician and us as the fans in the crowd, about the power of live music as it starts returning and we start embracing it again?
I think that when we come back to that special feeling of being in the club or at the venue and the band comes out and starts, this thing that we share together is just irreplaceable by any electronic delivery means. And I think that that's something that has been really put into relief, and it will be a relief when we get that again. I think everybody will feel that visceral feeling and feel how much that's been missing.
So if you have a dream tonight and you run into your younger self from what you talked about as the years have flown by, when you were starting to go professional in your 20s, and you could give your younger self one piece of advice of what you've learned throughout the years, what would it be?
Do your taxes.
There you go. That needs no explanation. So my final hot seat question for you here is this. Everyone has a perception or an idea of who they are, whether it's your persona as a musician or you as a friend or a family member or your students that you've educated, but you're the one ultimately living your life. Who do you think you are?
Wow. Cool question.
Thanks.
I just read something along those lines, that you are not only what you think you are, but you are also what everybody else thinks you are. I think I am an honest person trying to make the most out of life and do the best I can for my music and for the people around me, and just trying to make the most of the opportunities I have. That's and an honest counselor. That's one time my girlfriend, a long time ago, we stopped at a truck stop and she picked up a cup. She bought a cup at the gift shop that had my name on it, and at the other side it said Kurt. On the other side it said honest counselor. That's how I see myself.
Right on. That's a great visual, man. That's a Rockwellian image right there. Kurt, hey man, this has been illuminating and great. I'm so glad that I finally had the chance to catch up with you. Good luck on this release and a mighty triumphant return to the stage. We're all thirsty for it, man.
Thank you so much. I hope to see you out there.
Thanks for listening and tuning in to another Neon Jazz interview, where we give you a bit of insight into the finest cats in Boston, Germany, Kansas City, and spots all over the world, giving fans all that jazz. And thanks to Kurt for his time, cool, and class. If you want to hear more interviews, go to Famous Interviews with Joe Domino in the iTunes Store. Visit neonjazz at youtube.com, and for everything Neon Jazz all the time, go to the neonjazz.blogspot.com. Until next time, enjoy the jazz, my friends.
Neon Jazz.